Hi, this is Sarah. We've been talking a whole lot about Chiron lately, and I thought we need a refresher course or maybe an introduction into who and what Chiron is and why it is affecting us the way it is affecting us. Chiron has been really active in the astrology lately. Chiron is named after and carries the archetype personality of a figure in Greek mythology. And I have to raise my hand. For a long time I was pronouncing it Chiron or Chiron or Chiron too. But I actually looked it up and it's Chiron. If you've been mispronouncing it, don't worry, it's fine. It's fine. But yes, it's with a CH. But now we're going to call it Chiron in this reality, okay? So this heavenly body is not the actual definition of the centaur from Greek mythology, but it does carry some of those personality traits, and those traits will be active when Chiron moves around, whether going forward or going in retrograde. And we're coming up on a retrograde period. That's why I thought we should be discussing this today. So this particular centaur was the son of a Titan and a water nymph. And unlike other centaurs who were violent and savage, he was famous for his wisdom and knowledge of medicine. Many Greek heroes, including Hercules, Jason, Achilles, so on, were instructed by him. So he was a teacher. He was very much respected among the Greeks. He frequently appears in legends with his great-grandson, Achilles. Yeah. He was known as the wounded healer, which is a big indication of the type of lessons that we're going to have coming up, which means old lessons from the past, unhealed traumas, and things that we have not fully processed, maybe stuff that we have tried to forget. And Chiron is pretty active in 2019 and also 2020. He moved into Aries on February the 19th, and that was a shift most of us felt. And the ripples from that lasted for several months, didn't they? He was probably the reason things were falling apart in February. And I don't mean to make little of that, because a lot of folks had some really challenging things happen in February. But remember, these things are happening because they're things that we need to address. You know you need to address these things. We all know we do. We just put them off, yeah? So when Chiron moves around, that part of your chart becomes active and it's time to face those problems. Now Chiron is about to go retrograde, and it's going to affect some folks more than others, and that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. Let's begin at the beginning. What exactly is Chiron? We know it's something, a heavenly body that's named after a centaur, but what is it and where is it? Because we didn't learn about it in school, did we? Chiron isn't a planet. There is some differing opinion on what exactly it is. Scientists haven't really made up their mind whether he is asteroid or whether he is actually a comet. So if you do any research on Chiron, asteroid as opposed to the mythology, you'll find out his name is actually 2060 Chiron, and he was discovered in 1977. Now that doesn't mean he just appeared in 1977. No, that just means that we were able, with the technology we had, to identify this heavenly body. He's been there for 1,000,000 years. We just couldn't see him. So he's actually been there affecting us for a very long time. Yeah? He is technically, like I say, a cross between an asteroid and a comet. He orbits the sun between Saturn and Uranus. So they don't really know a whole lot about him. All the types of planetary objects that fall under the same category as he does will be named after centaurs, which is really interesting too. So technically, he's a minor planet. So, I mean, we're not talking asteroid the size of a car. We're talking asteroid almost the size of a planet. So it's huge. The speculation is that he is probably something that broke off from an asteroid belt, or he was a comet that got caught in the gravitational pull of these two planets. The very interesting thing about him too is that they've just recently discovered he has rings, and they're made of ice. So isn't that interesting? Now you know what it is. How is this going to affect you, and what the hell, why should you care about it, right? When Chiron is in transit, old wounds come to the surface, sometimes out of the blue and very much unexpectedly, to be healed. New wounding may feel like it's happening during these transits too, but that is actually not correct. It's just the old stuff being maybe looked at in a different viewpoint. We have a tendency to only heal as much as we can at a time. because we're busy. You still have to get up and go to school if you're a child. You still have to go to work if you're an adult. You have these obligations. So you do as much as you can at that moment and you keep going. So that's why healing is a process too. 10 years later, 20 years later, 50 years later, maybe still carrying something really traumatic that happened to us, and we don't even realize or recognize the triggers that are happening, and we assume it's something new when actually it's something much older that's not been fully healed yet. So look at this as an opportunity to work on and heal those bigger traumas from the past. This is actually a huge opportunity to release that energy, learn those lessons, and move forward, and no longer be coming from a point of those events being the filter of how we see the world. Because unhealed trauma from the past actually dictates our behavior in the present and in the future. Chiron is going through Aries, and Aries is a sign ruled by Mars, the planet of war, passion, and individualism. If you would like to know more about Chiron and how this is going to affect you in 2019 and 2020, I have an upcoming class that will go much deeper into this and talk about the signs that are particularly going to be influenced by this, and also the generations and how this has actually affected us in the past too. It's a lot of information. I can really geek out on Chiron. Join us for the class. I'll put the link here, and I'll put the link in the comment section below. Reiki blessings. Bye-bye.